Hi, I'm Chris Thomas, and welcome to episode 9 of the Pressure Point Dojo. Today we're going to be looking at something called complex torque and something called confusing the joint, 2 more of our 9 principles of tuite. And we're also going to look at something we see in traditional martial arts, the sort of goofy things, the goofy postures that you see people doing, and you look at them and go, why would you do that? But let's begin by examining complex torque. Let's head into the Masterclass. Principle number 3 is complex torque. Complex torque is pretty easy to understand. It basically means move a joint in one way and then move it in a totally different way. Finger is probably the simplest way to start. If I take a finger and I bend the finger, that hurts. If I bend the finger and then I turn the finger, like twist it, right? That hurts. So if I bend and turn together, right? That's the idea, is bend and twist together. So I'm doing that initial movement we just talked about, this thing, right, where I'm opening the door. But the other thing I'm doing is I'm trying to take the joint in an extra direction. So if I think about bending the joint straight back, and then I think about bending the joint side to side, if I put them together, back and side to side, combined the energy is 45-degree angle. So when you're doing this on a finger, the way to get complex torque is when you were first doing two-way action, you came in from the side this way. But if you actually come in at a 45-degree angle and do that same rotation on a 45-degree angle relative to the finger, you will bend the finger in 2 different directions. So you see, if I bend his finger this way, I come on a 45-degree angle, so I can bend here, I can bend here, but when I come on a 45-degree angle, his finger will go in both of those directions. So that creates the complex torque. I don't have to think very much about that. I just have to know to do it, and then I can get that big reaction. Now, there's a technique in tuite. We call it a palm turn. The Japanese name, I think, is tehiragatame. It's done this way. You have basically 2 bends in the arms, so they're both, about 120 degrees. And then I have the bend, and then I'm going to take the hand and rotate the hand in this direction. So this is the complex torque, because I'm bending this way. This is plantar flexion. And now I'm going to do a rotation in the direction of the radial bone. See this rotation. Now, there's a couple things that you should know when you're doing this, is that there's a tendency for the person to try to escape by raising their elbow. See how he's raising his elbow to get out of that? That's how he releases the pressure. So a lot of times when doing a technique with this motion, you have to be mindful of how to control the elbow. The simplest way is just use your other hand. So if you're doing this, you just kind of use your other hand here. If you're doing it this way, this is a very common way to enter into the palm turn, to receive it palm to palm and then twist this way. Then you bring your elbow towards his elbow, like that. And what that does is that keeps it under control. And it is possible to do it one-handed and not let that elbow get out. As you goes to raise the elbow, what you have to do is you put pressure right here on triple warmer 3, and you're twisting this way, you're bending this way, and then we're going to add one more piece of torque. I'm also going to twist in this direction. Can you see this motion here? I'm actually going to turn his hand this way. So I bend, I twist, and then I turn this way. That's, especially if he starts to resist and try to get his elbow away, I just turn his elbow towards me. In other words, I rotate towards me. I add another direction in there. So complex torque is a relatively straightforward and simple way to do things. But what it does is it allows you to control the joints and throw them out of alignment very, very easily. If you'd like to help support the work I do, sharing the deep insights into the martial arts and making it possible for me to continue to do this work, there's 3 things you could do. One is click like and subscribe. The second one is consider becoming a member of the channel. For a small monthly fee, you'll have early access to new content, as well as exclusive access to curated content just for members. Or you can become a subscriber to my website, kjk-karate.com, which gives you access to, well, everything. Masterclass with Chris Thomas is an extensive library of in-depth video instruction covering
Ishinru Karate, Ryukyu Kempo, Tai Chi, Okinawan weapons, and so much more. It's a great value at $399 per year, but as a viewer of the Pressure Point Dojo, you can subscribe for only $119 per year. That's an amazing 60% discount. Just use the promo code DOJO when you subscribe. That's DOJO in all capital letters.
I hope you'll give some serious thought to subscribing. Love to have you. Don't forget to use the promo code DOJO. And remember, there's always that delay between when you finish your subscription and when I am able to activate your account. I apologize for it, but I promise you it's worth the wait. And now let's head back to the Masterclass. The next principle is called generating confusion. This is a very, very common one. We see it in jiu-jitsu a lot. It's done this way. The opponent is reaching and grabbing, and what I want to do is put him into a technique like this. Right now I'm going to apply my joint technique, but you see this like, whoa, here we go. And what's he doing while I'm doing all this? He's punching me in the face. So I can generate confusion simply by going back. And so this is a very, very common method in a lot of jiu-jitsu styles, which is a finger jab, and then you go and apply the joint technique because you confuse their brain. You can do it in all kinds of different ways. He's strong and he's resisting me. And he's like, hey! You see, by just yelling at him, what I did was I broke his concentration. His mind was down here, and all of a sudden I'm yelling at him. Do anything that will cause his mind to distract from whatever his intention is or preventing you from what your intention is. We can also create confusion in the joint by confusing the joint itself. This is a method that it would be similar to what in judo is called kuzushi. So in a judo throw, you'll see a good judo person will push and then they'll pull. They create an unbalance in one direction and then they quickly reverse it, and that the mind can't keep up with that. So we can do that in tuite techniques as well. So again, I'll go back to, I'm going to put this technique on and he's resisting, so I do this. In other words, I just went a different way, just for a minute. Nothing special. I could be like, okay, right? So what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to create all kinds of, so his joint no longer knows where it's going. A lot of times techniques that we do create confusion by changing direction. So fingers are a great place to see this. If I'm going downward this way, he's actually moving into a very strong position. You can see how his body is geared to maybe throw a punch from here. Oh. Bam, see? So when I create this downward pressure, he can be in that position. If I want to create confusion, I simply change direction. So all I'm doing is changing the direction I'm going at. Now I'll switch fingers. That's another form of confusion. So confusion is actually surprisingly easy. Anything that will distract somebody's mind, anything that will make it so the joint gets mixed up. It thinks it knows where it's going, and then suddenly it's going somewhere else. There's a lot about traditional martial arts that people look at and they don't understand, including people who practice traditional martial arts. Mostly in the world of traditional martial arts, we just think of it in terms of it being cool. The intricate postures, stretched out positions of the body, low and high, leaping in the air. In particular today, we're going to be looking at something which is called the mountain posture, like this. and when we would think about it, when we would think about what we were being told these movements were for, it just really didn't make a lot of sense. But when you come at it from a different point of view, what I call a classical point of view, not a traditional one, where you're asking a different set of questions, things change. Movements that previously can seem quite useless suddenly become very, very powerful and effective. So let's head into the Masterclass. Arrgh. Yeah. And of course, we know what this is for. There are two opponents, and you're blocking them both. Exactly. Movements like this, if you start in a good position, are surprisingly powerful. So I want you to see a piece of body movement. No, I'm just going to blast into his chest just a little bit, but I just want you to see how this works. Okay? This is called framing. So we think, every time we think hitting, we go, ugh, and I think, I'm going to hit him with my forearm, so I think to myself, ugh, and I strengthen up. No. If I want to hit, so he's throwing a punch, and I just go, bah! That's all I did, right? The reason it works is because the structure is so powerful, all I need to do is turn. And that's literally it. So that's the first application. Somebody's coming in, they're coming in with that big punch, it's like, oh, okay, bah! You just, and you will stop everything in its tracks. Slow, can we do it on this side? So I come in here. See it? Boom. You okay?
Yeah, no, it's right. It goes through there's so much.
There's a ton of energy there. Yeah. Feet on that side so that I can show over here. Watch. This is my guide. I slide. If I just lay my hand so I'm touching here, my forearm is right on his jaw. Right? Boom. I can hit 2 points at the same time. Right? Boom. Right? So I can get this down here and this up here together. Now that's with this kind of movement. So now I want you to understand where the mechanics are and where the power is going. If you look at the body, and by the way, you've noticed how we have not included the leg technique. I'll show you that later. We'll add that later. As I step this way and turn this way, this side of my body is going this way. Do you see that? See, people do this and they think it's a circle. It's not. There's a straight line right there. So I just follow the straight line. Now that means this hand is actually going this way. So the two sides are not doing this, they're not equal energy, so it's not like that. See? The punch is coming, I'm using this to strip. This is beat stripping the meridian. Here, wah! Come on, get closer. You got to hit me, man. See? I went. Yeah, he's throwing a big old. You step right into it. John Wayne punch. It doesn't have to be that could still be a straight punch when I'm thinking about his head. You see, it just lays right across there. So, see his body position? I want you to see how this works mechanically. My body is turned this way, and I'm going to sink into my stance. See? We'll do this off like a reach or a push. I go, whoa.
Oh, no.
I am not trying to catch him. I'm not trying to hold on to his arm. If I wanted to hold on to his arm, that would be a different technique. That would look like this. Here, I go like this, and then I would inject from the bottom. That's called wave hands like clouds in Tai Chi. This is just, this is more like, this is the tense position. I'm up. I get off that line, and I go, whoa. And now what happens? There's screaming and a broken arm, and there's a guy standing like this. I don't want to fight. Yeah, but all I'm doing physically is the kata. Right? I'm just, whoa. In the kata, you step forward. Yes. Nice and slow. So I need to be stepping forward, or it won't work. Obviously, there's a certain amount of timing involved in this one, and this is not intended to put him in a joint lock. It's joint lock as strike. So we know, gallbladder 31, kick gallbladder 31. Hurts, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Gallbladder, stomach 36. It's right here. 45 angle in. I'm going to do the step.
No.
Now here's the tricky thing. I'm just going to step, okay? There's no kick here. I pick my leg up, I kind of angle it, and I just step down and through. So I go like this. You okay, Stefan?
Yep.
Can you stand, Stefan?
Slowly.
See, I knew that was going to happen. I see him getting up like, no problem. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. It's 36, it's 34, sorry. Here's the thing, in the kata movement, people like treat this kata movement like weird. They go like, or something. Of course, I was taught, you are attacking with punch. Yeah. And I block it. Yeah. New punch, and I block it. Then there was the one where someone's swinging a stick at your head, and you block the stick. It's this angle, see that angle? Yeah. But notice I'm leaning to, now I keep my balance. See that? So this is really important. You have to have that feeling when you do the movement of the kata. And once there's a leg in the way, I know you're going to be like trying to balance. You just have to think, I go right through it. That's all it is. You relax, you pick your leg up, and then you just go through it. And it'll do that. While Masterclass with Chris Thomas is a subscription program, there in my public-facing program on YouTube and such, I do something called Reflections from the Masterclass. These are philosophical and thoughtful considerations, less than technical ones. And so, you know what? I want to share one of those with you now. I'm in Germany at the Black Forest training camp, which is being held in Todenau, Germany. It's about 2 kilometers down there someplace. Well, you can hear all the noise behind me. I'm at the Black Forest camp and everyone's training hard. And I'm meeting for the first time one of the senior representatives for our organization, DKI, in Europe, and his name is Borit Kinkel. And Borit is, oh my goodness, maybe the most talented martial artist I've ever seen. My good friend Gabi Roloff, who's one of the masters of Tappy Tappy under Professor Presses, she was teaching a technique, and I thought, well, this is really interesting because I'm not really a stick guy. I don't do Arnis well. I've trained it a few times, but there's aspects to it that elude me. So I'd asked her, hey, can you show me that technique? And can I try it? And he's a guy with talent and knowledge, but the knowledge, maybe that's more than anything. You know, he's got a lot of physical skill, a lot of athletic skill. But his mind is like a sponge. He knows so much. He's trained with everybody. He sees how it all fits together. He integrates everything. So I actually, this is so great. She gave me a private lesson. We went outside and I had a private lesson with Gabi Roloff. And it was great. We were doing this technique. And in the process, though, I learned how to do one of the techniques I've done for years better. Just what we call a tuite, a technique called a palm turn. And I thought, oh my goodness, I've done this technique for years. How did I miss this really critical little piece that just made a huge difference? And I look at him and I think, oh my, you know, I should never think too highly of myself, because no matter where you go in the world, there's always going to be somebody who is better on some level. And if you walk around thinking, yeah, you know, see, I'm the Grand Master, you know, you're going to start to look stupid. There's no end to this journey, that if you are training, you're always trying to improve. You're trying to make progress. You're trying to get from where you are now to a place that's better. You know, the older I get, the slower I get, the weaker I get, the broader I get. But if my technique gets better as a martial artist, I actually improve. There's always more to learn. There's always progress to be made. There's always an improvement of the technique to be discovered, and that is going to take a lifetime. You must never quit. And so, you know what? I'm really grateful to my friend for teaching me something that I somehow missed all those years ago. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Pressure Point Dojo here on Channel Fight. I look forward to seeing you next time, and until then, I'm Chris Thomas. Thanks for watching. Now go train.